Welcome to our channel. We are so glad you found your way here. Let us help you fall asleep. Let's begin with Lex Aquilia, the ancient Roman threads of accountability and loss. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it. Let the noise of today fall away as we step back, not just hours or years, but centuries, into the vast theater of crime and punishment in ancient Rome. If you genuinely like our videos, please hit like and subscribe. The legal framework of ancient Rome reveals a sophisticated system developed over centuries, influencing governance and societal conduct. This system was marked by codified laws, which established principles of accountability and justice. Among these, the Lex Aquilia emerged as a pivotal statute, addressing wrongful damage to property and providing a clear mechanism for compensation. It articulated remedies for loss, reflecting the Roman commitment to restoring balance in civil matters. The statute distinguished between different forms of damage, specifying compensation based on the value of the property at the time of the incident. Such clarity allowed for a structured approach to disputes, reinforcing the importance of accountability in interactions, both public and private. The Lex Aquilia underscored the Romans' perception of property rights as fundamental, treating damage not merely as a personal grievance but as a breach of civic duty. Legal practitioners utilized its provisions to navigate complex cases involving theft, negligence, and destruction, thus shaping the evolving landscape of Roman law. This framework facilitated the integration of diverse cultural influences, adapting to the needs of an expanding empire. Over time, the principles enshrined in Lex Aquilia would echo through centuries, impacting subsequent legal systems and reflecting a timeless pursuit of justice and equity within society. The Roman Republic emerged around the 6th century before the Common Era, establishing a complex system of governance that laid the groundwork for legal frameworks. This era marked a transition from monarchy to a republic, where citizens sought representation and accountability. Such aspirations necessitated the development of laws that addressed grievances arising from property damage and personal loss. Early legal systems in this region were largely influenced by customary laws and the evolving needs of society. Legal scholars and magistrates began to codify these customs, leading to a more structured approach to jurisprudence. The 12 Tables, created in the mid-5th century before the Common Era, served as one of the earliest written legal codes, embodying the principles of fairness and transparency. Within this context, the Lex Aquilia arose in the 3rd century before the Common Era, specifically targeting issues of wrongful damage to property. It provided a legal remedy for individuals seeking compensation for losses incurred, reinforcing the concept of personal accountability. This legislation not only addressed immediate disputes, but also reflected broader societal values, emphasizing the importance of property rights and the protection of individuals in a rapidly evolving economy. The implications of these early laws would resonate through history, shaping future legal traditions in various civilizations across the globe. The evolution of Roman law unfolded gradually, marked by significant milestones that laid the groundwork for codifications such as Lex Aquilia. Initially, the 12 Tables established in 472 BCE provided a foundational legal framework, articulating rights and duties in a society navigating complex social dynamics. This codification aimed to create transparency, ensuring citizens understood the laws governing them. Subsequent developments saw the emergence of the Praetorian edicts around the 2nd century BCE, which introduced flexibility into the rigid 12 Tables. These edicts allowed magistrates to adapt legal principles to the unique circumstances of individual cases, laying the groundwork for case law. The introduction of legal interpretation became essential, leading to a distinction between civil and natural law. The 1st century BCE witnessed the contributions of notable jurists, whose commentaries began to shape the understanding of legal concepts. Their insights helped refine the application of justice, emphasizing principles such as fairness and accountability. This period of intellectual advancement culminated in the establishment of the Lex Aquilia in the 3rd century BCE. Specifically addressing wrongful damage and liability, this legislation underscored a shift towards recognizing individual rights in matters of property and personal loss, evolving the Roman legal landscape into a more nuanced system that would influence future legal frameworks. The term Lex Aquilia refers to a foundational piece of Roman legislation that emerged around the 3rd century BCE. Its primary focus was on the protection of property rights, specifically addressing cases of unlawful damage or destruction. This law introduced fundamental principles of accountability, establishing criteria for compensation based on the value of the property affected. In its core, Lex Aquilia delineated two essential components: the concept of damage and the compensation owed to the injured party. Damage, as defined in this context, encompassed not only physical loss, but also broader implications of harm inflicted upon property. Compensation was determined by the market value of the property at the time of the incident, emphasizing a fair approach to resolving disputes. Through this legislation, the notion of culpa, or fault, became pivotal. It introduced a framework where culpability was assessed, allowing for a clearer understanding of liability. This legal paradigm encouraged individuals to act responsibly, as they could be held accountable for their actions that led to damage. In essence, Lex Aquilia served as a precursor to modern legal systems, laying the groundwork for contemporary concepts of negligence and property rights. Its influence extends beyond Roman society, echoing through centuries of legal thought and practice. Aviorthui Avantia work, Roman society, of legal thought and practice, reflecting the enduring nature of accountability in human interactions. The Roman courts exemplified a complex structure designed to administer justice with precision. Various tiers existed, ensuring that disputes could be addressed appropriately based on their nature and severity. Local magistrates, known as praetors, presided over minor cases, while more significant matters progressed to the centum viri, a panel of judges drawn from the elite. This system reflected a commitment to both accessibility and rigor, allowing citizens to seek redress within a framework of established procedures. Affinge trial processes were formalized, incorporating the presentation of evidence, witness testimonies, and legal arguments. This region relied heavily on oratory skills. Advocates would eloquently articulate their cases, striving to sway public opinion and secure favorable outcomes. The role of the jury, composed of citizens, added a democratic element to proceedings, fostering a sense of communal involvement in the justice system. Penalties varied, ranging from fines to exile, reflecting the gravity of the offense. Accountability was not merely punitive, it often involved restitution, emphasizing the restoration of balance within society. The architecture of these courts, with their imposing columns and open spaces, signified the weight of the law. Justice, in this context, became a shared responsibility, echoing the values of order and stability that underpinned Roman civilization. The legacy of these practices informs modern legal frameworks, anchoring contemporary understanding of justice. Legal accountability in ancient Rome was intricately woven into the fabric of societal interactions. Individuals were expected to uphold a set of standards defined by both tradition and codified law. This emphasis on accountability influenced behavior across various strata of society, from the highest-ranking officials to the common citizen. The presence of legal mechanisms ensured that personal disputes and public grievances could be resolved in an orderly manner, fostering a sense of communal trust. In this environment, the role of the magistrate emerged as critical. These officials acted as arbiters, interpreting laws and adjudicating disputes. Their decisions were not merely administrative, they reflected the values and norms of the broader community. Such processes reinforced the idea that accountability was not just a personal obligation, but a shared societal value. Though the legal proceedings often relied on a mixture of written law and oral traditions, allowing for adaptability within the Roman legal system. This fluidity facilitated the evolution of legal concepts over time, accommodating the complexities of a growing empire. As disputes were resolved, the outcomes shaped public perception, reinforcing the importance of accountability in maintaining social order. Le Cordaire, in the shadows of the Forum, the discourse surrounding justice echoed through the ages, highlighting how these early practices laid foundational principles for future legal systems. This enduring legacy continues to resonate in contemporary society. The Senate served as a pivotal institution in shaping the framework of Lex Aquilia. Through their deliberations, senators articulated the nuances of accountability and restitution, thereby influencing the application of this law, established to address disputes related to property damage. The legislation was deeply interwoven with the socio-political fabric of Rome. It delineated the responsibilities of individuals and the consequences of negligence, reflecting the Senate's commitment to maintaining order within the community. Debates often revolved around the interpretation of culpability, with senators examining the moral implications of negligence versus intentional harm. This scrutiny ensured that the law remained relevant, evolving in response to the complexities of human behavior and societal expectations. By establishing clear guidelines for compensation, the Senate reinforced a sense of justice that resonated throughout Roman society. The legislative influence extended beyond mere legalities. Avior elvi evil dil. It fostered a culture of responsibility. Individuals understood the repercussions of their actions, which in turn promoted a sense of communal trust. As the Senate navigated the intricate dynamics of power and accountability, it shaped not only the legal landscape, but also the ethical standards by which citizens lived. In this way, the enduring principles of Lex Aquilia reflect the Senate's role in articulating the values of an ancient civilization, leaving an indelible mark on the evolution of legal thought. The concept of damnum, or loss, serves as a cornerstone within Roman law, encapsulating the multifaceted nature of harm and its implications on society. This principle addresses not only physical damage, but also intangible losses, such as emotional distress and reputational injury. It delineates the boundaries of responsibility, requiring individuals to account for the consequences of their actions on others. In this framework, the precise definition of loss becomes paramount. The Roman legal system meticulously categorized various forms of damnum, recognizing the need to distinguish between direct and consequential damages. Such differentiation allowed for a clearer understanding of liability, ensuring that those who caused harm bore the appropriate responsibility. Within the societal context, this understanding of loss fostered a culture of accountability. Individuals were encouraged to act with consideration for their neighbors, knowing that their actions could have far-reaching effects. As a result, the concept of damnum not only governed legal disputes but also permeated social interactions, informing ethical behavior throughout the community. The implications of this principle extend beyond ancient Rome. influencing modern legal systems that grapple with similar concepts of harm and compensations. The legacy of damnum continues to resonate, illustrating the enduring nature of accountability in human societies and their legal frameworks. Real property encompasses land and anything permanently attached to it, such as buildings and infrastructure. These assets hold significant value and often serve as the foundation of wealth in societies. When damage occurs, the implications extend beyond mere monetary loss, affecting the stability of communities and the livelihoods of individuals. In ancient Rome, the legal structure surrounding real property was meticulously defined, ensuring that compensation could be pursued through established channels. This framework not only protected individual rights but also reinforced the collective responsibility of citizens to maintain their surroundings. Personal property, on the other hand, includes movable assets such as goods and personal belongings. Unlike real property, personal property can be easily transferred or replaced, yet it remains vital to individual identity and comfort. Damage to personal property often generates immediate emotional responses, as these items frequently carry sentimental value. Roman law recognized the distinct nature of personal property, providing specific avenues for redress in cases of theft or destruction. The differentiation between real and personal property within the legal constructs of ancient Rome underscores the complexity of accountability. Each category required its own legal considerations, illustrating a sophisticated understanding of the nuances of ownership and the repercussions of loss. This clarity laid the groundwork for more comprehensive legal systems that evolved in later societies, reflecting the ongoing human pursuit of justice. Delict represents a pivotal intersection of tort and accountability within the framework established by Lex Aquilia. This legal concept, emerging in ancient Rome, addressed the harms inflicted upon individuals and their property. Through its stipulations, it defined the boundaries of responsibility and recompense, ensuring that those who caused injury or loss bore the consequences of their actions. The principles articulated in Lex Aquilia emphasized the importance of rectifying wrongs, thereby reinforcing societal norms surrounding personal accountability. In this context, the law delineated specific categories of harm, including damage to property and personal injury, which necessitated restitution. The focus remained on the victim's right to recovery, reflecting an early recognition of the need for reparation. These legal structures provided a framework not only for addressing grievances, but also for fostering a sense of communal order. The application of these principles extended beyond mere recompense. The evolving interpretations of delict and its implications within Lex Aquilia served to shape moral and ethical perspectives on individual conduct. They established an expectation of accountability, influencing social behavior and interactions. Over time, these early legal precedents contributed to a collective understanding of justice that transcended the confines of Roman society, resonating through subsequent legal systems and cultures, guiding the development of modern tort law. Legal processes surrounding Lex Aquilia established a structured framework for addressing grievances related to property damage and harm. The initiation of a claim required the aggrieved party to present evidence to substantiate their allegations, ensuring that disputes were resolved based on established criteria rather than arbitrary judgments. This emphasis on evidence laid the groundwork for future litigation practices that prioritize factual accuracy over subjective interpretations. Once a claim was lodged, a formal inquiry, or inquisitio, ensued, involving the examination of witnesses and the collection of testimonies. This meticulous process aimed to uncover the circumstances surrounding the alleged harm, fostering a sense of accountability among parties involved. Judges, often appointed from a pool of qualified individuals, played a pivotal role in interpreting the law and ensuring that proceedings adhered to the established guidelines. The outcome of these legal proceedings was determined by a combination of damages assessed for both property loss and personal injury. Compensation was calculated based on the value of the lost goods or the extent of the harm inflicted, reflecting a nuanced understanding of justice that sought to restore balance. Through these procedural aspects, Lex Aquilia not only delineated responsibility but also encouraged a societal commitment to rectifying wrongs, influencing the evolution of legal accountability for centuries to come. Influences of Lex Aquilia played pivotal roles in shaping the landscape of Roman legal thought. Notable figures such as Gaius, a 2nd century jurist, meticulously analyzed the intricacies of this law, providing foundational commentary that clarified its applications. His writings emphasized the principles of equity and fairness, which became integral to Roman jurisprudence. Another significant contributor, Ulpian, emerged in the early 3rd century. His extensive legal texts further refined interpretations of accountability. Through his work, he highlighted the importance of intent and negligence, nuances that added depth to the understanding of culpability. This evolution signified a shift from mere compensation to a more comprehensive approach to justice. The influence of these jurists extended beyond their lifetimes, impacting subsequent generations of legal scholars. The codification efforts seen in later legal compilations often acknowledged the principles established by these figures. They laid the groundwork for the distinction between private and public wrongs, which further solidified the framework of accountability within Roman society. This region's legal history, marked by these influential thinkers, illustrates the dynamic interplay between law and cultural values. As society evolved, so too did the interpretations and applications of Lex Aquilia, demonstrating its enduring significance in the annals of legal development. The role of witnesses and evidence in Roman courts became pivotal in shaping the proceedings of justice. It was not merely a matter of testimony. The integrity of a case often hinged on the credibility of those who spoke. Witnesses were expected to provide reliable accounts, with their presence considered essential for establishing the truth. A system of cross-examination allowed for the scrutiny of these testimonies, fostering an environment wherein contradictions could be unveiled. Evidence, in various forms, supplemented verbal accounts. Documents, objects, and even written contracts served as tangible proof of claims, grounding arguments in material reality. This reliance on both human testimony and physical artifacts reflected a sophisticated understanding of accountability. The Roman legal framework encouraged the collection and presentation of such evidence, recognizing its weight in deliberations. Judges, as arbiters of these disputes, exercised their discretion in evaluating the credibility of witnesses and the relevance of evidence. The emphasis on factual substantiation distinguished Roman legal practice, ensuring that decisions were made based on substantiated claims rather than mere assertion. This meticulous approach laid the groundwork for procedural standards in later legal systems, highlighting a commitment to fairness and thoroughness. Through the careful examination of witnesses and evidence, the Roman courts sought to uphold a balanced approach to justice. Judicial precedent played a pivotal role within the framework of Lex Aquilia, establishing a foundation for consistency in legal interpretations. Previous cases served as a guiding force, informing decisions that shaped the understanding of accountability and loss. These historical rulings provided a lens through which judges could analyze new disputes, ensuring that similar cases received comparable treatment. The reliance on established judgments created a sense of continuity, allowing the legal system to evolve while maintaining a clear connection to its roots. In this context, the principles outlined in earlier cases were meticulously documented, forming a corpus of legal thought that influenced both practitioners and scholars. Each judgment contributed to a growing body of knowledge that could be referenced in future disputes. The codification of these precedents allowed for a more predictable legal landscape, fostering an environment where individuals could engage in commerce and social interaction with a degree of confidence. The interaction between past and present cases also illuminated the nuanced interpretations of harm and compensation. This dynamic facilitated a deeper understanding of the complexities surrounding property damage and personal injury through careful scrutiny of prior outcomes. Judges could navigate the intricacies of each new claim, balancing the scales of justice while remaining anchored in the established tenets of Roman law. Such an intricate system of legal reasoning ensured that the principles of accountability remained robust and adaptable through the ages. The principles established by Lex Aquilia resonate with other legal codes from ancient Rome, each contributing to a complex framework governing personal and property rights. The 12 Tables, for instance, laid the foundation for Roman legal thought, introducing essential concepts such as fairness and public accountability. These foundational tenets influenced the provisions of Lex Aquilia, reinforcing the notion that individuals must answer for their actions, especially concerning loss or damage inflicted upon others. In contrast, the Edict of Maximum Prices addressed economic regulation, highlighting the state's role in market practices. This regulation intersected with Lex Aquilia's private law, reflecting a balance between individual responsibility and public interest. The interplay between these legal frameworks illustrates a broader commitment to justice, where both personal and communal welfare are considered. The Digest, compiled under Emperor Justinian, further codified these principles, integrating Lex Aquilia's provisions into a more comprehensive legal system. This compilation served not only as a repository of existing laws, but also as a tool for evolving legal interpretation, ensuring relevance in changing circumstances. Each legal code, through its unique lens, contributed to a shared Roman ethos of accountability. This interconnectedness reveals a society deeply invested in maintaining order and justice across its vast territories. Such a legacy continues to inform contemporary legal systems around the world. The principles established by Lex Aquilia profoundly shaped property ownership in Rome, creating a framework for accountability that persists in various forms today. The legislation defined parameters for liability concerning property damage, allowing owners to seek recompense for harm inflicted on their possessions. This clarity fostered a sense of security among property owners, encouraging investment and economic activity within the bustling Roman marketplace. In this context, the legal stipulations facilitated the growth of commerce and trade. Merchants, knowing that their investments were protected under these laws, engaged in transactions with greater confidence. The legislation not only addressed the immediate concerns of property loss, but also set a precedent for the valuation of goods, allowing for the quantification of damages in monetary terms. This created a more stable economic environment, essential for the flourishing of Rome's intricate marketplace. Additionally, these legal standards contributed to the evolution of property rights. As individuals were granted the ability to claim damages, the notion of ownership became more defined and respected. The repercussions of this shift were felt broadly, influencing subsequent legal reforms throughout the empire and beyond. The enduring impact of Lex Aquilia can be seen in present-day property law, where accountability remains a cornerstone of ownership rights and responsibilities, echoing the principles laid down in ancient Rome. Studies from antiquity reveal the practical applications of Lex Aquilia, illustrating the complexities of accountability within Roman society. One notable trial involved the loss of a prized slave, whose death prompted a legal dispute over compensation. The owner claimed significant financial loss, while the accused, a neighboring landholder, argued that the slave had trespassed and provoked the incident. This case highlighted the nuances of liability as it delved into the nature of property and personal responsibility. Another significant case involved a farmer whose cattle were allegedly harmed by a neighbor's wild boar. In this instance, the agrarian community closely observed the proceedings, as the outcome would set a precedent regarding livestock protection. The farmer sought damages based on the Lex Aquilia's stipulations, which laid out specific valuations for various types of property. The trial revealed the tension between communal agricultural practices and individual rights. Those trials not only shaped legal interpretations, but also reflected the societal values of their time. As the judgments were rendered, they resonated through the legal landscape, informing future generations about the delicate balance between ownership and ethical responsibility. The legacy of these historical cases continues to influence contemporary discussions surrounding property rights and accountability. Jurisconsults served as pivotal figures within the intricate legal framework of ancient Rome, providing essential guidance on matters of law and ethics. These legal advisors, often well-educated and highly regarded, offered their expertise to both individuals and the state, navigating the complexities of the evolving legal landscape. Their insights fostered a deeper understanding of legal principles, shaping the interpretation and application of laws such as Lex Aquilia. Through their commentary and writings, jurisconsults influenced the development of legal norms and procedures. They engaged in discussions with magistrates and legislators, articulating interpretations that would be considered in future cases. This advisory role often extended to providing legal opinions, known as responsa, which were instrumental in settling disputes and clarifying ambiguities within the law. The prominence of these advisors reflected the value placed on legal knowledge in Roman society. Their ability to dissect legal issues and propose solutions contributed to a culture of accountability and justice. This environment encouraged citizens to seek redress for grievances, reinforcing the principles of responsibility and compensation. In essence, jurisconsults not only shaped the application of laws like Lex Aquilia, but also ensured that the legal system remained adaptable. Through their contributions, they laid the groundwork for enduring legal traditions that resonate through modern legal systems today. The text of Lex Aquilia reveals key provisions that emphasize accountability in the realm of property and personal injury. Its language, steeped in the legal vernacular of ancient Rome, establishes a framework for compensating individuals harmed through negligence or malicious acts. The initial clause delineates the responsibility of a party to provide restitution for damages caused by wrongful actions, underscoring the principle of liability that remains central in contemporary jurisprudence. Specific terminology, such as damnum for damage and responsio for response, is indicative of the meticulous precision employed by Roman lawmakers. This clarity mitigates ambiguity, ensuring that the rights of both victims and perpetrators are distinctly articulated. The provisions illustrate a societal commitment to rectify wrongdoings, promoting an ethos of accountability that permeates the legal landscape. The text further outlines the quantification of damages, introducing the concept of monetary compensation as a remedy for loss. By establishing a system where victims could seek redress, it fosters a balance between personal rights and community standards. The language reflects a deep understanding of the human experience, recognizing the tangible and intangible costs of harm. In this way, Lex Aquilia not only served a practical purpose, but also embodied the moral imperatives of its time, laying foundational principles that continue to inform legal discourse. The emergence of Lex Aquilia significantly altered social hierarchies within Roman society. This legal framework established a new paradigm where accountability was not solely the domain of the elite, but extended to various social classes. The implications of such a shift were profound, fostering a sense of equity among citizens who previously lacked means for redress. With the stipulation of compensation for damages, even the less affluent could seek justice for losses incurred by the more powerful. This newfound accessibility to legal recourse prompted a re-evaluation of status within the community. Individuals began to recognize their rights, leading to an environment where social mobility became increasingly possible. The ability to claim compensation for loss, be it property, livestock, or other valuables, empowered those who had previously been marginalized by the rigid class structures. Additionally, it instigated a cultural shift regarding personal responsibility. The affluent, now bound by the same legal standards of called Tesseoko, faced a greater scrutiny of their actions. This accountability served to temper the excesses of wealth, resulting in a more nuanced interaction among various societal factions. Such dynamics contributed to a gradual transformation of power relations, where the interplay of wealth and influence became intertwined with legal obligations. Through these mechanisms, Lex Aquilia left an indelible mark on Roman social fabric, intertwining justice with the evolving consciousness of its citizens. The evolving consciousness of its citizens intersected significantly with the institution of slavery, a cornerstone of Roman society. As the legislation sought to address personal loss and property damage, it also inadvertently affected the lives of countless enslaved individuals. The framework established by Lex Aquilia created a basis for accountability that extended beyond the elite, positioning the treatment of slaves within the realm of legal consideration. In this context, the destruction or loss of enslaved persons was not merely a personal tragedy, but also a measurable economic loss. This perception shifted the dynamics of ownership, compelling slaveholders to consider the legal implications of their actions. Enslaved individuals, once seen solely as property, began to represent an asset with inherent value recognized by the law. The ancient legal discourse around Lex Aquilia illustrates how the value assigned to human lives evolved, albeit within a framework that still upheld slavery as an institution. The impact of such legislation reverberated through households and plantations alike, prompting owners to maintain better care for their slaves. Consequently, this led to a gradual, albeit incomplete, re-evaluation of the morality surrounding slavery. This period of transformation reflects the complexities of Roman legal thought, highlighting the enduring interplay between societal values and the legal mechanisms that sought to codify them. Lex Aquilia emerged as a pivotal statute within the framework of Roman law, specifically designed to safeguard the interests of citizens against unlawful actions. Established in the 3rd century BCE, it addressed the wrongful damage to property, particularly concerning animals and slaves, allowing for compensation rooted in the value of the affected party. This legal provision underscored the intrinsic connection between individual rights and the broader societal structure, reinforcing the notion that ownership and personal responsibility were critical to Roman identity. The statute introduced a clear mechanism for accountability, establishing a judicial pathway for grievances. It delineated the parameters of liability, stipulating that wrongful harm necessitated restitution. Such clarity enabled citizens to pursue justice through formal channels, reflecting a shift toward a more organized approach to civic disputes and property rights. This legal framework fostered an environment where accountability was not merely an expectation but a mandated aspect of interactions. Citizens could seek redress, reinforcing the moral obligation to respect personal possessions and the well-being of others. In this way, Lex Aquilia did not solely function as a legal instrument. It symbolized the evolving understanding of rights within the Roman Empire, contributing to a collective cultural ethos that emphasized justice, responsibility, and respect within the community. Justice, at its core in the context of Lex Aquilia, reflects the intricate relationship between moral philosophy and societal norms within the Roman Empire. This framework acknowledges the inherent value of individuals and the principles guiding interactions among them. The legal stipulations outlined in the edicts served not merely as punitive measures, but as a means to foster an environment where accountability reigned supreme. An underlying principle of justice in this context is the acknowledgement of harm and the obligation to rectify it. Individuals who caused damage, whether intentional or through negligence, were compelled to engage with the consequences of their actions. This expectation cultivated a communal sense of responsibility, where each person's behavior impacted the greater social fabric. The philosophical debates surrounding justice often centered on notions of fairness and equitability. The imposition of penalties for wrongdoing was not simply a reflection of retribution, but rather an attempt to restore balance. Such mechanisms ensured that losses incurred by one party could lead to reparations, reinforcing the idea that justice should serve to mend rather than merely punish. Procedural limitations within Lex Aquilia revealed significant challenges that often hampered its effectiveness. The complexities of proving loss necessitated rigorous documentation and witness testimony, which could sometimes be difficult to procure. In instances where evidence was scarce or unclear, the pursuit of reparations became more an exercise in frustration than in justice. This region's reliance on the credibility of witnesses often led to inconsistencies that undermined the integrity of claims. The framework also exhibited limitations regarding the types of damages recognized. While it addressed tangible losses, the nuances of emotional distress or reputational harm remained largely unrecognized within its parameters. Consequently, individuals enduring intangible losses found themselves without recourse. Jurisdictional disparities further complicated the application of Lex Aquilia. Variations in local interpretations and enforcement could lead to unequal outcomes across the vast expanses of the Roman Empire. The potential for corruption within the legal system posed another obstacle, as those with influence could manipulate proceedings to their advantage, eroding the foundational principles of accountability. Despite its noble intentions, the procedural limitations of Lex Aquilia often resulted in a fragmented approach to justice. These challenges highlighted the inherent difficulties in balancing accountability with the realities of human experience within the complex societal framework of ancient Rome. Public opinion played a pivotal role in cases involving Lex Aquilia, often influencing outcomes and shaping legal precedents. This phenomenon emerged from the deeply interconnected nature of Roman society, where the voices of citizens held substantial sway. In instances of property damage or personal injury, it was not uncommon for public sentiment to tilt perceptions of justice. They often rallied behind victims, casting a light on grievances that might otherwise have remained obscured. The courts, imbued with societal expectations, frequently found themselves navigating the tumultuous waters of popular opinion. Cases could be swayed by the collective outrage or sympathy expressed in the forum, where citizens gathered to discuss matters of law and ethics. The perception of fairness, or lack thereof, became a crucial element in deliberations, leading to outcomes that reflected not just legal statutes but the prevailing moral compass of the populace. In some cases, the involvement of influential figures could amplify the pressure on judicial proceedings. When powerful individuals aligned with victims, their backing could dramatically alter the landscape of accountability. This dynamic underscored the intertwined nature of law, morality, and society. Legal outcomes within this framework were often shaped by prevailing gender norms. The societal roles assigned to men and women influenced their standing in legal matters, particularly in cases of damage and accountability. Male citizens typically held greater authority and protection under Lex Aquilia, while women largely existed within a system that frequently marginalized their rights. In disputes, male plaintiffs wielded significant influence and were more likely to receive favorable judgments. Property ownership, an essential aspect of legal standing, remained predominantly in male hands, further entrenching this disparity. Women, often dependent on male guardians or relatives, faced restrictions that limited their ability to claim damages or seek redress for grievances. Compounding these issues was the perception of women as less capable of bearing responsibility for their actions. Such biases affected legal interpretations and outcomes, leading to a system where female agency was diminished. Cases involving women often reflected societal attitudes that prioritized their roles as caregivers over their rights as individuals. These dynamics reveal the broader implications of gender on legal frameworks. The structure of Lex Aquilia inadvertently reinforced existing hierarchies, shaping not only the experiences of individuals but also the fabric of Roman society itself. This influence reverberated through generations, marking the evolution of legal principles and their societal ramifications. The Roman economy experienced significant shifts due to the implementation of Lex Aquilia, which introduced a structured approach to accountability and financial transactions. This legal framework defined the parameters for compensation in cases of property damage, particularly concerning slaves and cattle. The emphasis on quantifiable loss transformed the nature of economic interactions, fostering a sense of trust among traders and landowners. With clear guidelines for restitution, it became imperative for individuals to maintain accurate records of their assets. This necessity catalyzed advancements in bookkeeping practices, allowing merchants to engage in more complex transactions with confidence. The establishment of a legal precedent reinforced the reliability of contracts, creating an environment conducive to trade expansion. As agricultural practices evolved, so too did the reliance on livestock as a cornerstone of wealth. The consequences of negligence or malpractice were more pronounced, prompting landowners to invest in better management and care. Thus, the ramifications of legal accountability extended beyond mere financial loss, influencing agricultural productivity and labor relations. Commercial hubs flourished as merchants navigated this new landscape, bolstered by the certainty that their investments would be protected under Roman law. These transitions not only shaped individual enterprises but also contributed to the broader stability of the Roman economy, marking an era where law and commerce intertwined seamlessly. The evolution of accountability within Roman society necessitated the emergence of insurers and liability frameworks. Central to this development was the recognition of risk and its management, particularly in trade ventures that spanned vast distances. Merchants engaged in maritime commerce often faced unpredictable perils, prompting the establishment of agreements that would allocate risks among investors and shipowners. These arrangements fostered a sense of shared responsibility, allowing for a more resilient economic landscape. Contracts formed the backbone of these insurance agreements, stipulating terms that outlined the responsibilities of each party involved. The principles of liability were meticulously crafted, ensuring that compensation was provided in the event of loss or damage. This legal architecture not only safeguarded individual interests but also reinforced trust among participants in the marketplace.
For as tide flushed, so too did the complexity of these contracts. Legal scholars began to delineate various forms of liability, categorizing them to address the nuances of different transactions. In cases of negligence or breach of duty, the repercussions were clearly articulated, fostering a culture of due diligence. This framework did not merely serve the interests of merchants, it also contributed to social stability, as the assurance of protection against loss enabled individuals to engage in economic activities with greater confidence. The interplay of insurers and liability within Roman law laid foundational principles that resonate through modern legal systems today. The principles of accountability brought forth by Roman law were significantly enriched by the intellectual currents originating from Greek philosophy. Notions of justice and ethics, deeply woven into the fabric of Hellenistic thought, influenced Roman jurists in their quest for a cohesive legal framework. This intersection manifested in the writings of prominent philosophers whose inquiries into morality, virtue, and the nature of the good life provided a philosophical underpinning for legal concepts. In this region, the Stoics, with their emphasis on natural law, proposed that certain universal truths govern human behavior. These ideas permeated Roman legal thought, suggesting that laws should reflect inherent moral principles. The emphasis on rationality in decision-making became a hallmark of legal proceedings, urging judges to consider broader ethical implications when adjudicating cases. The dialogue between rhetoric and law also flourished, as orators employed philosophical arguments to sway public opinion and influence legal outcomes. This blending of disciplines underscored a belief in the transformative power of reasoned discourse. The legacy of Greek philosophy within Roman jurisprudence not only shaped legal principles, but also set the stage for future inquiries into justice and governance. This confluence of thought fostered a robust system, one that would endure and evolve, leaving an indelible mark on the development of legal systems worldwide. The emergence of the Roman Empire marked a significant turning point in the interpretation and application of Lex Aquilia, as power consolidated under imperial authority. The once decentralized legal practices transformed into a more codified framework. Changes in societal structure necessitated a re-evaluation of accountability, particularly as the scale of governance expanded. This period saw the adaptation of existing laws to better serve the needs of an increasingly complex bureaucracy. The transition away from the republican ideals reflected a shift in focus from individual rights to the maintenance of order and stability within the empire. In this evolving landscape, Lex Aquilia was increasingly invoked in cases of property damage and personal injury, often to resolve disputes involving state interests. The influence of imperial decrees began to shape interpretations, leading to a more centralized understanding of liability, which prioritized the needs of the state over individual claims. Judicial decisions during this era became less about equitable resolution and more about upholding imperial authority. This resulted in a more rigid application of the law, with an emphasis on precedent and formal procedures. As a consequence, The personal connections once integral to the functioning of Lex Aquilia began to fade, replaced by a system that reflected the vast complexities of governance in a sprawling empire, altering the landscape of accountability for generations to come. The transformative governance under Emperor Justinian marked a significant evolution within the framework established by Lex Aquilia. Legal reforms initiated during this period sought to consolidate and clarify the extensive body of Roman law, addressing the complexities that had emerged over the centuries. These reforms aimed not only to streamline legal processes, but also to enhance the accessibility of justice for the average citizen. The codification of laws, exemplified in the Corpus Juris Civilis, created a clearer understanding of liability and accountability. This new compilation preserved the essence of Lex Aquilia while integrating contemporary societal needs. The emphasis on written law facilitated a more systematic approach to justice, allowing individuals to comprehend their rights and obligations in a manner that was previously unattainable. In this era, the relationship between individuals and the state transformed, as the state assumed a more prominent role in adjudicating disputes. Legal professionals began to flourish, their expertise becoming essential in navigating the intricacies of the new legal landscape. As Roman society adapted to these changes, the legacy of Lex Aquilia endured, influencing future legal theories and practices. The enduring impact of Justinian's reforms established a foundation for modern legal systems, echoing through history as a testament to the evolution of accountability and governance. Each adjustment reinforced the intricate balance between individual rights and state authority, shaping the trajectory of justice. The eventual decline of Lex Aquilia stemmed from a confluence of societal changes and evolving legal philosophies. The expansion of the Roman Empire brought forth diverse cultures and legal traditions, which began to influence prevailing notions of justice. This region, once focused on the protection of property rights, faced challenges as new economic realities emerged. The rise of a merchant class introduced complexities that the ancient framework struggled to accommodate. The increasing reliance on written contracts shifted the legal landscape.
Rather than pursuing restitution through the mechanisms of Lex Aquilia, individuals opted for contractual agreements that offered more clarity and specificity. These arrangements diminished the relevance of traditional laws, leading many to see Lex Aquilia as outdated. Additionally, the consolidation of imperial power during the late Republic diminished local governance structures. Centralized authority often superseded regional laws, which contributed to the erosion of local legal frameworks. The fading company of municipal courts, once vibrant in their administration of justice, found themselves overshadowed by imperial decrees and the need for uniformity. This gradual obsolescence was further exacerbated by the philosophical evolution that accompanied the transition to a more complex society. Emerging ideas emphasized collective responsibility over the individualistic focus that characterized earlier interpretations of Lex Aquilia, leading to its diminished role in the legal system. Legal systems today reflect both continuities and discontinuities from the principles established by Lex Aquilia. The foundational notions of accountability and liability resonate within contemporary frameworks, particularly in tort law. This region of law mirrors the Roman emphasis on compensating for harm done, albeit with modern nuances. The evolution of liability has seen a shift towards a more sophisticated understanding of negligence, where the burden of proof rests on the claimant, contrasting sharply with the earlier, more straightforward applications. Discontinuities are also evident. While Lex Aquilia focused on physical damage to property and person, modern statutes encompass a wider array of harms, including emotional distress and economic loss. These expansions illustrate a significant broadening of legal boundaries. The inclusion of punitive damages further departs from the Roman perspective, which did not accommodate such measures for deterrence. Incorporating elements of restorative justice within some legal systems highlights a movement toward reconciliation rather than mere retribution. This approach invites a departure from the rigid structures of accountability characteristic of Lex Aquilia, favoring dialogue and rehabilitation over financial compensation alone. For dialogue between ancient legal precedents and modern interpretations continues to shape the understanding of responsibility and loss, illustrating the enduring legacy of Roman legal thought within contemporary jurisprudence. The influence of Roman law extends far beyond the confines of the Italian peninsula, weaving through various legal systems around the globe. This ancient legal framework, exemplified by Lex Aquilia, has left a profound mark on the evolution of tort law, particularly in nations that have adopted civil law traditions. The principles inherent in Lex Aquilia regarding liability for damage and the obligation to restore losses resonate throughout numerous jurisdictions, even as they adapt to local contexts. In these regions, the echoes of Roman legal philosophy can be seen in statutes that address personal injury and property damage. This lineage demonstrates an intrinsic connection between historical legal constructs and modern legislative frameworks. Scholars and legal practitioners often reference Lex Aquilia as a cornerstone, illustrating how established norms regarding accountability inform contemporary standards. The principles of proportionality and fairness embedded within this ancient law have also inspired international treaties and conventions that govern cross-border disputes in the realm of international law. The emphasis on equitable restoration and accountability reflects the foundational ideas laid out by Roman jurists. These concepts foster a consistent approach to justice, bridging cultural and legal divides. As societies navigate complex legal landscapes, the enduring legacy of Lex Aquilia serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of human experience, shaping our understanding of justice across time and space. Literature and art reflect the profound impact of Lex Aquilia on societal values and moral considerations. This ancient law, with its emphasis on accountability, has inspired countless literary works that explore themes of justice and retribution. Its principles resonate through narratives that portray the consequences of wrongdoing, often illuminating the human condition and the quest for fairness. In visual art, representations of justice often evoke symbols associated with Lex Aquilia. Depictions of scales and blindfolded figures embody the ideal of impartiality. Artists throughout history have utilized these motifs to convey the weight of responsibility, juxtaposing the ideals of justice against the backdrop of human failings. Such representations serve to remind viewers of the delicate balance between law and morality. The influence of Lex Aquilia extends beyond the walls of classical antiquity, permeating the cultural fabric of various societies. Its principles can be found in contemporary discussions surrounding legal accountability and ethical standards. This connection highlights a continuity of thought, emphasizing a shared human struggle to define justice. As these themes persist in modern discourse, the legacy of Lex Aquilia remains palpable, demonstrating the enduring nature of accountability and loss in shaping cultural narratives. The echoes of its principles continue to resonate, reminding society of the complexities inherent in the pursuit of justice. The role of Lex Aquilia within Roman military contexts underscores its significance beyond civilian applications. This legislation provided a framework for accountability regarding property damage, extending its reach to military endeavors. Commanders and soldiers alike were subject to its stipulations, ensuring that even in the chaos of warfare, the principles of responsibility were maintained. The potential for loss during military operations was significant, often leading to disputes over resources and damages incurred. Soldiers and their leaders relied on the legal protections afforded by this law to seek restitution for losses sustained through negligence or malfeasance. The accountability established by Lex Aquilia offered a measure of order amidst the tumultuous nature of military campaigns. In instances where military supplies were damaged or lost, claims could be filed, invoking the law to address grievances. This process reinforced the expectation that accountability was paramount, even in the most unpredictable environments. Such measures helped to maintain morale and foster a sense of trust among troops, knowing that their concerns regarding losses would be recognized and addressed. The implications of Lex Aquilia extended further, influencing military discipline and conduct. The necessity for adherence to legal standards encouraged a culture of responsibility, vital for maintaining operational effectiveness. In this way, the ancient legislation wove itself into the very fabric of Roman military life, shaping actions and outcomes. The implications of Lex Aquilia extended beyond mere military conduct, reaching into the realm of property damage caused by natural phenomena. This legislation provided a framework for accountability in instances where crops, livestock, and personal property sustained harm from disasters such as floods or fires. The principles outlined permitted individuals to seek recompense, reflecting a society deeply attuned to the significance of resources and their management. In this context, the agricultural landscape played a critical role. It was not merely a source of sustenance, but also an economic backbone. When calamities struck, they affected the livelihoods of many, creating ripples through communities. Such events prompted a societal response, where claims under Lex Aquilia could become a pathway to restoring balance. The effects of natural disasters were often exacerbated by the vulnerability of the environment. Erosion, for instance, could lead to diminished agricultural yields, while severe weather events might obliterate entire harvests. Each incident necessitated an understanding of the interplay between human activity and natural forces. These considerations highlighted the importance of accountability in an era when the environment dictated the success or failure of entire communities. Lex Aquilia thus not only served as a legal instrument but also as a reflection of the intricate relationship between the Romans and their surrounding landscape. The ethical implications of accountability under Lex Aquilia reveal the complexities of Roman jurisprudence and societal values. This legal framework introduced a sense of responsibility, compelling individuals to acknowledge the consequences of their actions. It established a precedent for compensating losses, particularly in the context of property and livestock, emphasizing the importance of ownership and stewardship. The obligation to rectify harm fostered a culture that prioritized ethical behavior, shaping interactions within communities. Within this structure, the principles of fairness and justice emerged. Compensation was not merely a transaction, it represented a moral duty to restore balance following an infringement. The assessment of damages required careful evaluation, invoking a sense of moral reasoning that extended beyond mere monetary value. This process highlighted the inherent dignity of individuals impacted by loss, affirming their rights within a complex social order. Debates surrounding the interpretation of accountability often reflected broader philosophical discussions regarding justice and societal norms. The nuances of Lex Aquilia prompted inquirers into the nature of responsibility, challenging individuals to consider the implications of their actions on others. Such ethical considerations were not isolated but interwoven into the fabric of Roman life, influencing governance and personal conduct alike, thus deepening the understanding of accountability and its far-reaching consequences. This exploration reveals significant parallels and distinctions with other ancient legal systems. The Code of Hammurabi, a cornerstone of Babylonian law, established principles of retribution and compensation, emphasizing a structured approach to justice. Like Lex Aquilia, it aimed to provide clarity and predictability in legal outcomes, though the specifics of implementation varied considerably. In these early societies, the principles governing liability and restitution were foundational, serving to maintain social order within their respective cultures. Ancient Greek legal practices further illuminate the evolution of accountability. The Athenian system, characterized by its emphasis on public participation and jury trials, fostered a unique climate of civic responsibility. While Lex Aquilia focused primarily on property and injury, the Athenian approach encompassed a broader array of offenses, reflecting the significance of individual rights and community welfare. The influence of these legal codes extended beyond immediate justice, shaping societal norms and expectations. In many cases, the penalties prescribed were not just punitive but also educational, reinforcing ethical behavior and communal values. The interplay between these legal traditions illustrates a shared understanding of the necessity of accountability in governance. As these systems evolved, they laid the groundwork for contemporary concepts of law and morality, demonstrating the enduring legacy of ancient jurisprudence throughout history. Language served as a pivotal tool in interpreting Lex Aquilia cases, influencing both the application of law and the understanding of accountability. The precise wording within legal texts, crafted by Roman jurists, was essential for conveying complex principles regarding damages and restitution. This region of legal language was not merely functional. It carried significant weight in shaping societal norms and expectations surrounding justice. The Nartatsnaiti Bruciosiust in these cases offered clarity to the sometimes ambiguous nature of liability, guiding judges and citizens alike in their interpretations. Terms such as damnum and culpa encapsulated intricate ideas regarding harm and fault, allowing for nuanced discussions that transcended mere legal definition. This lexicon facilitated a shared understanding among those engaged in legal proceedings, permitting a common framework to emerge. In the public sphere, language also played a role in the dissemination of legal concepts, influencing how citizens perceived their rights and responsibilities. The dialogues surrounding Lex Aquilia were often recorded and debated, leading to a rich exchange of ideas that further refined legal thought. The evolving nature of language reflected the changing societal landscape as new expressions emerged to address emerging concerns. The judicial role of the praetor emerged as a cornerstone in maintaining order within the intricate web of Roman society. This official held significant authority, acting as a mediator and arbiter in disputes. As the praetor presided over legal proceedings, it became evident that the interpretation of law required not only an understanding of written statutes, but also a keen awareness of social nuances. The praetor's decisions shaped the application of justice, influencing the lives of citizens and their interactions. The position allowed for a degree of discretion, enabling the praetor to adapt legal principles to fit the context of individual cases. Such adaptability fostered a sense of equity as it offered citizens an avenue for redress in the face of grievances. Legal outcomes often reflected prevailing cultural values, demonstrating the balance between established law and the evolving moral compass of society. In addition to resolving disputes, the praetor also played a crucial role in safeguarding public welfare. They issued edicts that addressed pressing social issues, thus reinforcing the connection between governance and community well-being. These decrees often highlighted specific societal needs and set forth guidelines that would guide future legal interpretations. Through these actions, the praetor became not just a facilitator of justice, but a guardian of the community's ethical framework, deeply influencing the dynamics of accountability within this ancient civilization. The influence of such legal frameworks extended beyond mere accountability, shaping the very structure of urban life in Rome. The introduction of Lex Aquilia established a foundation for property rights, which in turn stimulated economic activity. This protection of assets encouraged investment in infrastructure, leading to the construction of roads, aqueducts, and public buildings. It facilitated a sense of security among landowners, who were now less fearful of losing their investment to negligence or malfeasance. As urban centers expanded, the presence of regulated markets became essential. Merchants and craftsmen flocked to these regions, drawn by the promise of a stable environment where transactions could occur with minimized risk. With the assurance provided by Lex Aquilia, trade flourished, contributing to the vitality of the marketplace. The bustling streets filled with vendors and customers transformed the social landscape, fostering a sense of community and shared purpose. The legal stipulations also had implications for urban planning. Cities began to incorporate areas designated for specific functions, such as commercial zones and residential districts. This organization facilitated efficient movement and interaction among citizens. Public spaces emerged not just as functional entities, but as vital nodes within the urban fabric, shaped by the legal and ethical considerations of the time. Social justice found a unique expression through the lens of Lex Aquilia, revealing intricate relationships between class structures and accountability in ancient Rome. This legal framework, designed to address wrongful acts against property, underscored the distinctions between citizens and non-citizens, amplifying the voices of the privileged while often neglecting the marginalized. The enforcement of these laws created a hierarchy where the rights afforded to the elite overshadowed the struggles of lower classes, reinforcing systemic inequities. In these urban landscapes, the administration of justice was not merely a matter of law, but a reflection of societal values. The application of Lex Aquilia became a tool for the powerful, often used to protect their wealth and status, while those without recourse faced a different reality. The disparities in legal protection highlighted the fractures within the society, with accountability largely contingent upon one's social standing. These dynamics were evident in public spaces, where the presence of the elite overshadowed the everyday experiences of the common people. The streets, markets, and forums served as arenas for both engagement and exclusion. The interaction of law and social class forged a complex relationship where accountability was selectively applied, shaping the lives of individuals and communities in profound ways. The echoes of this legal legacy continue to resonate, inviting reflection on modern interpretations of justice and equity. Influence on later European legal systems is profound, shaping foundational principles that guide contemporary jurisprudence. This ancient statute established a framework for accountability, particularly in matters of property and personal harm. This emphasis on restitution laid the groundwork for future codifications of law, influencing the development of civil law systems across Europe. The principles embedded within Lex Aquilia found their way into the Justinian Code, which served as a pivotal reference for legal scholars during the medieval period. This codification not only preserved Roman legal thought, but also integrated it within the emerging structures of European governance. Consequently, It fostered a uniformity of legal principles that transcended regional boundaries. In England, the influence of Lex Aquilia can be traced through the evolution of tort law, introducing concepts of liability and compensation that remain central to modern legal discourse. The historical significance of this statute prompted the integration of similar doctrines in burgeoning legal systems, emphasizing the importance of redress for grievances. These strands of accountability weave through the fabric of modern law, illustrating a continuity that spans centuries. The ripple effect of Lex Aquilia's principles underscores the enduring quest for justice and restitution, demonstrating how ancient wisdom continues to inform contemporary legal practices. Advocacy played a pivotal role in cases governed by Lex Aquilia, influencing the outcomes through strategic maneuvering. Legal representatives employed various tactics to navigate the intricate landscape of accountability. The emphasis on presenting compelling evidence was paramount. It required meticulous documentation of losses and damages, often entailing expert testimony to substantiate claims. This approach ensured that the court understood the full extent of the impact on the injured party. Persuasive argumentation also served as a cornerstone of advocacy in these cases. Lawyers crafted narratives that highlighted moral and ethical considerations, appealing to the sense of justice within the legal framework. This often involved drawing parallels between the principles enshrined in Lex Aquilia and the prevailing societal values of the time. Such strategies aimed to resonate with the judges, eliciting a more favorable interpretation of the law. Additionally, the cultivation of a strong rapport with clients facilitated the advocacy process by understanding the emotional and psychological facets of their cases. Advocates were better equipped to convey the gravity of the situation to the court. The interplay between legal reasoning and human experience created a compelling case for restitution, reinforcing the essential nature of accountability within the fabric of Roman law. Through these methods, the legacy of Lex Aquilia endured, shaping the landscape of legal recourse then and in subsequent eras. The concept of reparations within Lex Aquilia highlighted the intrinsic link between accountability and compensation for loss. This legal framework established a precedent for addressing harm caused by negligence, particularly in matters involving property and personal injury. By mandating restitution for damages, it fostered an environment where individuals could seek redress, thereby reinforcing societal norms surrounding responsibility. In this context, the principle of restitution was not merely punitive but also restorative. It sought to restore the injured party to their previous state, emphasizing the importance of equity and fairness. The evaluation of damages hinged on tangible losses, often calculated through established market values, thus providing a clear metric for compensation. This systematic approach contrasted with earlier, more arbitrary methods of addressing grievances, marking a significant evolution in legal thought. Over time, the implications of these principles extended beyond the boundaries of ancient Rome. The framework provided a foundation for various legal systems, influencing the development of modern concepts of tort law and civil liability. Discussions around reparations are echoed in contemporary debates, where notions of accountability and justice remain paramount. The enduring impact of Lex Aquilia serves as a reminder of the complexities surrounding loss and the responsibility to address it in a manner deemed fair by society. Religious beliefs in ancient Rome significantly influenced the interpretation and application of Lex Aquilia. The divine order, integral to Roman society, established a framework where accountability was intertwined with moral imperatives. This legal code emerged within a cultural context that viewed divine favor as essential for social stability. Priests and religious leaders often served as mediators, bridging the human and divine realms. Their interpretations of law frequently reflected a sacred understanding of justice, reinforcing the notion that accountability extended beyond mere legal obligations. In this environment, the consequences of loss were not just material but carried spiritual implications. The loss of property or life invoked questions of moral culpability, compelling individuals to seek restitution not only to satisfy earthly laws, but also to appease the gods. Rituals and sacrifices became common practices aimed at rectifying wrongs, highlighting the interconnectedness between legal and religious accountability. The societal reliance on divine oversight fostered a culture where individuals were expected to act with honor and integrity, as failing to do so could provoke divine retribution. This belief system reinforced the necessity of legal frameworks like Lex Aquilia, which sought to provide structured responses to grievances. Thus, legal accountability was not merely about compensation. It served as a mechanism to maintain harmony, both within society and in the eyes of the divine. The principles of Lex Aquilia significantly shaped trade practices throughout the Roman Empire. By establishing legal frameworks for accountability, merchants engaged in commerce with a heightened sense of security. Transactions became increasingly structured, as the potential for compensation in cases of loss motivated traders to uphold standards of quality and reliability. This legal foundation encouraged the growth of marketplaces, where goods exchanged hands with greater frequency. The presence of accountability mechanisms fostered trust among merchants and consumers alike, allowing for the expansion of trade networks that spanned vast distances. The cultivation of mutual confidence was crucial in a society where word of mouth and reputation held considerable weight. In this environment, the demand for goods surged, leading to innovations in transportation and logistics. The construction of roads and ports was driven by the necessity to facilitate the movement of commodities. As trade flourished, so did the complexity of transactions, requiring more sophisticated legal oversight. Lex Aquilia provided a framework for resolving disputes, ensuring that grievances could be addressed without resorting to violence. The impact of these legal principles extended beyond immediate economic exchanges, influencing social hierarchies as well. Successful merchants gained significant status, their wealth providing them with opportunities to participate in civic life, further intertwining commerce and governance within Roman society. The intertwining of commerce and governance found a parallel in the Roman military system, where the Lex Aquilia served as a crucial component of accountability. This legal framework outlined compensation for losses, extending its influence beyond civilian transactions into the realm of military conduct. Soldiers, entrusted with the care of valuable assets, operated under the watchful eye of this law, which dictated their responsibilities and the repercussions of negligence. Instances of loss or damage incurred during military campaigns brought forth the application of Lex Aquilia. Commanders faced scrutiny as their decisions could lead to significant financial repercussions for both the state and individual soldiers. This relationship created a culture of responsibility within the ranks, emphasizing the importance of fidelity and diligence in the face of adversity. The enforcement of these laws reinforced the notion that accountability was not a mere civilian concern, but a foundational principle guiding military operations as well. Consequently, the legal ramifications of the Lex Aquilia became intertwined with the honor and reputation of military leaders. The perception of a commander's effectiveness often hinged on their ability to navigate the complexities of responsibility, balancing the necessities of warfare with the obligations established by law. In this way, the ancient threads of accountability wove through both commerce and military law, shaping the fabric of Roman society. The 12 Tables represent a pivotal moment in the codification of Roman law, serving as a foundation for subsequent legal principles, including the Lex Aquilia, created in the mid-5th century BCE. These tables established a transparent legal framework, delineating rights and responsibilities for citizens. It provided a structured approach to disputes and grievances, ensuring that individuals had recourse through written statutes, rather than relying solely on oral tradition or elite interpretation. The influence of the 12 tables extended into the realm of tort law, where the Lex Aquilia emerged. This legislation specifically addressed issues of property damage and personal injury, reflecting a society beginning to recognize the need for accountability. The stipulations outlined within the Lex Aquilia drew upon the principles enshrined in the 12 tables, establishing a basis for compensation that was both fair and proportional to the harm inflicted. Interwoven with the prevailing social norms, these laws underscored the importance of maintaining order within the community, facilitating a balance between individual rights and communal responsibilities. The legacy of the 12 tables, alongside the Lex Aquilia, illustrates a sophisticated understanding of equity and justice, one that would resonate through the ages. This legal evolution highlights the continuous adaptation of Roman law, reflecting the changing dynamics of society and the necessity for structured governance. Gender dynamics in legal representation under Lex Aquilia reveal a complex interplay of societal norms and legal frameworks. Women, while often excluded from formal legal roles, found ways to navigate this system. Their involvement in cases was generally indirect, relying on male relatives to represent their interests. This practice underscores the limitations imposed on women within the legal sphere, as they were largely considered dependents. Legal texts indicate instances where women could act as plaintiffs, particularly in cases involving property or personal injury. Their ability to seek justice was contingent upon familial connections, underscoring a reliance on male advocacy. Despite these constraints, some women managed to exert influence through strategic alliances and social capital. The societal perception of gender roles influenced these interactions, leading to a duality in representation. While men occupied the more prominent roles as advocates, women's experiences informed the broader legal discourse. The emergence of cases involving female plaintiffs reflects a gradual shift in acknowledgement, even if marginal, of their agency within the legal process. This region of Roman law illustrates the evolving understanding of accountability and loss, intertwining gender with the legal narrative. The gradual recognition of women's voices, albeit limited, marked a subtle yet significant evolution in the historical context of legal representation. Restitution emerges as a central theme within Lex Aquilia, providing a framework for accountability in matters of injury and loss. This ancient Roman law established principles governing compensation for damage inflicted upon individuals and their property. The stipulations articulated within this legal code served to protect citizens from wrongful acts, cultivating a culture of responsibility and justice. Key provisions outlined specific financial restitution for injuries, particularly when assessing the value of lost or damaged goods. It applied to both human and animal harm, reflecting societal values placed upon livestock and the role of property in personal identity. The law delineated responsibilities and consequences, thus creating a structured approach to redress, which contributed to the stability of Roman society. While these regulations primarily addressed tangible losses, they also hinted at a broader moral obligation to restore balance. This notion of restoration resonates through ancient texts, illustrating the Roman commitment to rectifying wrongs. The mechanisms of Lex Aquilia facilitated a form of social contract, binding individuals to the consequences of their actions, thereby reinforcing community ethics. In its application, the law created a legacy that continues to influence modern legal systems, highlighting early understandings of justice, fairness, and the need for accountability in human interactions. The echoes of this ancient framework persist, reminding contemporary society of the enduring quest for equitable resolution. Public trials served as a crucial mechanism in legitimizing Lex Aquilia within Roman society. They provided a structured forum for addressing grievances related to property damage, enabling individuals to seek redress for losses incurred. Through these trials, the legal principles enshrined in Lex Aquilia were brought to life, transforming abstract laws into tangible justice. Participants in these trials included not only the aggrieved parties, but also witnesses and legal advocates, all contributing to a collective understanding of accountability. This region of public discourse ensured that legal precedents were established, fostering a sense of communal trust in the judicial process. The transparency of such trials allowed for the scrutiny of both the evidence presented and the judgments rendered. The outcomes often reflected broader societal norms, reinforcing the importance of restitution and responsibility. The decisions made within these public arenas resonated beyond individual cases, shaping perceptions of justice that extended into the fabric of Roman life. The very act of gathering in public spaces to deliberate over claims symbolized a shared commitment to the principles of fairness and order. Through these proceedings, Lex Aquilia not only addressed specific disputes, but also functioned as a pillar of social stability. The legacy of these trials underscores an essential truth. Accountability serves as a cornerstone of civil society, ensuring that justice remains accessible to all. The influence of Lex Aquilia extended beyond mere legal frameworks, entwining itself with the very fabric of Roman identity. In a society where the distinction between citizens and non-citizens held profound significance, this legal code shaped perceptions of rights and responsibilities. It established a framework that delineated acceptable conduct, fostering a sense of communal belonging. The establishment of accountability mechanisms cultivated trust among individuals, reinforcing social bonds essential for a thriving civic life. Juris Santemori Romans viewed the code as a reflection of their values, highlighting the importance of dignity and respect for property. In disputes, citizens often turned to this legal structure, relying on it to navigate conflicts surrounding ownership and compensations. These interactions nurtured a collective understanding of justice, embedded deeply within the Roman psyche. The principles enshrined within Lex Aquilia also contributed to the development of shared cultural narratives. Tales of fairness and restitution became intertwined with Roman identity, reflecting a society that valued order and ethical conduct. Legal scholars and practitioners disseminated these ideals, further embedding them within the broader community. As generations progressed, the code's impact persisted, influencing legal thought well beyond its time. This enduring legacy continues to resonate within modern legal systems, echoing the foundational elements of accountability and justice that once defined Roman civilization. The role of expert testimony in Lex Aquilia cases was pivotal, providing a framework for understanding complex disputes related to damage and loss. Experts, often drawn from various fields, offered insights that transcended mere opinion, lending credibility and clarity to legal proceedings. Their contributions helped delineate the circumstances surrounding the loss, whether it involved property damage or personal injury, ensuring that judgments were informed and just. In this context, the testimony of specialists served as a bridge between legal principles and the intricate realities of the cases at hand. They elucidated the nature of the damages, quantifying losses with precision and explaining the technicalities that lay beneath the surface of disputes. This expertise facilitated a more nuanced interpretation of accountability, ensuring that the determinations made by magistrates were grounded in factual evidence rather than conjecture. The reliance on expert testimony reflected a broader understanding of justice, one that recognized the importance of informed decision-making in resolving conflicts. It underscored the sophisticated nature of Roman jurisprudence, where knowledge and expertise were not merely ancillary but integral to the process of adjudication. This systematic approach to evidence and accountability set a precedent for future legal frameworks, reinforcing the significance of informed judgment in the pursuit of justice across generations. Then, Renaissance witnessed a revival of interest in ancient Roman legal principles, with Lex Aquilia emerging as a pivotal reference point. Scholars began to explore its implications, recognizing the framework's enduring relevance in discussions of liability and restitution. This period marked a significant shift in legal thought, as jurists sought to reconcile classical doctrines with contemporary issues. It provided a foundation for a more nuanced understanding of personal rights and responsibilities. In this context, the interpretations of Lex Aquilia became instrumental in shaping emerging legal systems across Europe. The principles of accountability embedded within it resonated with the evolving notions of individual agency and moral responsibility. Legal scholars engaged deeply with the text, producing commentaries that examined its application to both civil and criminal matters, thereby enhancing its prominence in legal education. Discussions surrounding these ancient laws extended beyond mere academic interest. They influenced the formulation of new statutes and regulations, as lawmakers recognized the necessity of clearly defined rights. This renewed focus on personal accountability fostered an environment where the rule of law could flourish. The legacy of Lex Aquilia thus transcended its historical origins, contributing to the foundation upon which modern legal systems are built. Its principles continue to inform contemporary discourse on justice and equity, reflecting the enduring nature of legal accountability. The notion of fairness within Lex Aquilia was deeply intertwined with the fabric of Roman society. This legal framework emerged during a time when the accountability of individuals was paramount in maintaining social order. By establishing a clear set of guidelines for compensation, it aimed to address the harm inflicted upon property and individuals alike. The legislation demonstrated a commitment to reparation, ensuring that those who suffered losses were duly compensated for their grievances. In this region, the principles of fairness transcended mere monetary compensation. They reflected a broader moral obligation, underscoring the importance of personal responsibility. This emphasis on accountability served to reinforce social cohesion among citizens, illustrating a collective understanding of rights and duties. The process of adjudication under Lex Aquilia was designed to be methodical, favoring a clear delineation of liability. Judges, operating within this framework, were tasked with interpreting the nuances of each case. They aimed to restore balance, emphasizing reasoned judgments over arbitrary decisions. The pursuit of fairness in these legal proceedings mirrored the societal aspirations of ancient Rome, where the rule of law was viewed as a cornerstone of civil life. The enduring legacy of this ancient legislation invites reflection on how concepts of fairness and accountability have evolved, yet remain integral to contemporary legal systems. The intersection of Lex Aquilia and Roman property law reveals a complex framework under which ownership and responsibility were meticulously defined. This legal edifice established parameters for damages to property, allowing individuals to seek recompense for losses incurred through wrongful actions. It underscored the inherent value of property within the Roman societal structure, reinforcing the notion that ownership carried both rights and obligations. The stipulations of Lex Aquilia articulated specific measures of compensation based on the worth of the property at the time of loss. This principle ensured that the injured party could restore their position, reflecting an early understanding of justice that resonates through modern legal principles. The categories of damage delineated by the legislation addressed both the physical and economic dimensions of property, bridging gaps between personal loss and broader societal interests. As property law evolved, the implications of Lex Aquilia extended beyond mere compensation. It influenced the development of legal protections surrounding property rights and laid the groundwork for subsequent legal doctrines. The meticulous nature of this legislation mirrored the values of Roman society, emphasizing stability and order. Such a framework facilitated economic growth while fostering an environment where individual rights were recognized and safeguarded, highlighting the enduring significance of these ancient legal precepts. Emotions played a crucial role in legal proceedings under Lex Aquilia, influencing both the perception of justice and the adjudication process. This framework recognized that feelings of loss and suffering were not merely peripheral, but central to the evaluation of claims. The emotional weight carried by victims and their families informed the manner in which evidence was presented and interpreted. It shaped the narrative of each case, placing human experience at the forefront of legal considerations. The vintramese often invoked vivid expressions of anguish, highlighting the personal impact of wrongful actions. These sentiments resonated with jurors and magistrates, underscoring the importance of empathy in judicial assessments. In this context, the relationship between the victim and their losses was essential, as it guided the quantification of damages. Financial recompense was not simply a matter of economic compensation. It embodied an acknowledgement of suffering and a means of restoring dignity. In the courtroom, but the articulation of pain became a powerful tool, transforming abstract legal concepts into tangible narratives. This interplay between emotion and law fostered a deeper understanding of accountability. The legacy of Lex Aquilia reveals how ancient legal systems integrated human emotion into their frameworks, emphasizing that the pursuit of justice is as much about restoring balance to the individual as it is about upholding societal order. Artistic expression in ancient Rome often reflected the underlying principles of its legal systems. The influence of Lex Aquilia can be observed in various forms of Roman art, where themes of accountability and restitution emerged as prevalent motifs. Sculptures and reliefs frequently depicted scenes of individuals receiving compensation for losses, illustrating the legal precepts that sought to restore balance to personal grievances. These representations not only celebrated the concept of justice, but also served as moral lessons for the populace. The imagery often featured figures of authority, such as magistrates or jurists, engaged in the act of adjudication, underscoring the role of law in maintaining societal harmony. In addition to sculpture, pottery and frescoes exhibited similar themes. Notably, these works captured emotional expressions, reflecting the human experience associated with loss and reparation. The nuanced portrayal of grief and relief in these pieces indicates a deep cultural understanding of the interplay between law and personal suffering. Architectural elements, too, echoed the ideals of Lex Aquilia. Public spaces were adorned with inscriptions that memorialized significant legal decisions, reinforcing the importance of accountability within the community. This enduring influence illustrates how legal frameworks not only governed behavior, but also shaped the cultural and artistic landscape of ancient Rome. Intertwining emotion with the pursuit of justice, Lex Aquilia emerged during a period when legal accountability began to crystallize in the Roman Republic. This legislation addressed damages caused to property and person, laying foundational principles for civil law traditions. It introduced the concept of liability, whereby individuals could seek restitution for losses incurred due to another's actions, establishing a sense of justice that resonated through society. This legal framework reflected the values of Roman culture, emphasizing fairness and the protection of individual rights. It also marked a significant shift from earlier practices that often relied on personal retribution. The emergence of Lex Aquilia indicated a societal movement towards structured governance and resolution through established legal channels. This transition fostered a growing trust in the law as a means to resolve disputes. In practice, the legislation articulated specific categories of harm, providing clarity in determining compensation. This specificity not only facilitated more equitable outcomes, but also influenced subsequent legal systems throughout history. The principles set forth by Lex Aquilia would echo through time, informing civil law doctrines in various cultures, illustrating the adaptability of legal concepts. As society evolved, the enduring legacy of Lex Aquilia highlighted the intersection of law, morality, and social order. It remains a testament to humanity's ongoing quest for justice, accountability, and the complexities of human interactions within a structured legal framework. This framework significantly shaped social norms and behaviors within ancient Roman society. The stipulations of Lex Aquilia introduced a formalized approach to accountability, prompting individuals to act with greater consideration for the consequences of their actions. The awareness of potential financial restitution encouraged a cultural shift where property and personal rights began to be viewed through a lens of protectiveness and respect. Communities developed a heightened sense of responsibility as the repercussions of negligence became more tangible. This transformation influenced interpersonal relationships, fostering an environment where individuals were compelled to adhere to ethical standards concerning property and harm. The implications extended beyond legalistic matters, permeating various facets of daily life and enhancing social cohesion. The evolving expectations regarding accountability manifested in various forms, from informal agreements to more structured arrangements, as the legal framework became embedded in the societal consciousness. Disputes increasingly resolved within the parameters set forth by Lex Aquilia. This shift diminished reliance on personal vendettas, gradually replacing them with a preference for legal recourse, further entrenching the principle of accountability. In this context, the legal text served not merely as a set of regulations, but as a catalyst for societal evolution. It provided a foundation upon which future legal systems could build, influencing subsequent concepts of justice and societal order across generations. Successes emerged from the implementation of Lex Aquilia, establishing a framework for addressing damages and promoting accountability in civil disputes. This legal code enabled individuals to pursue compensation for losses sustained through wrongful acts. The clarity afforded by its provisions allowed for a more orderly resolution of conflicts, fostering a sense of trust in the societal structure. Legal practitioners found utility in its principles, applying them consistently to a range of cases involving property damage and injury to individuals. Yet, limitations also became apparent. The scope of Lex Aquilia was confined, often failing to encompass the complexities of more nuanced disputes, particularly those involving personal relationships or intricate business dealings. The reliance on monetary restitution sometimes led to persistent inequities, where the value of a life or property could be reduced to mere numbers. This reductionist approach often left deeper societal wounds unaddressed, creating a gap between legal restitution and true justice. The reliance on the testimony of witnesses and the interpretation of damages introduced inconsistencies, leading to varied outcomes in similar cases. The societal context often influenced the application of the law, resulting in disparities that did not align with the principles of fairness. These elements contributed to an evolving dialogue around the effectiveness of Lex Aquilia, prompting reflection on its role in shaping not just legal frameworks, but also societal values. Modern interpretations of Lex Aquilia reveal a profound interest in understanding its implications within contemporary legal systems. Scholars examine how ancient principles of accountability resonate in today's discussions on liability and compensation. This examination often leads to a reassessment of the foundational tenets that informed Roman law, offering insights into the evolution of justice. Research delves into the nuances of how these ancient statutes were applied in various contexts, including property damage and personal injury. The comparative analysis with modern legal doctrines sheds light on persistent themes of responsibility and restitution. These inquiries extend to interdisciplinary approaches, combining legal history with philosophy and sociology, fostering a richer comprehension of the enduring impact of Roman legislation. The influence of Lex Aquilia is also observed in academic curricula, where it serves as a bridge between ancient and modern law studies. This engagement encourages law students to reflect on historical precedents, while considering the implications for current legal challenges. Furthermore, digital tools and archives facilitate access to primary sources, enabling more comprehensive investigations into the application and interpretation of Lex Aquilia. Such scholarship cultivates a deeper appreciation for the complex interplay between law and society, revealing how ancient frameworks continue to inform contemporary legal landscapes, ensuring that the legacy of Lex Aquilia endures in the collective consciousness. The legacy of Lex Aquilia resonates beyond the legal texts, permeating popular culture where myths and realities intertwine, often depicted in literature and art. These narratives reflect a fascination with the concepts of justice and accountability. This fascination reveals how the ancient Roman approach to responsibility influences modern storytelling, highlighting the moral dilemmas that arise from action and consequence. In various adaptations, characters grapple with the weight of their decisions, echoing the principles enshrined within Lex Aquilia. These portrayals can distort or simplify the complexities of the original law, creating a dichotomy between historical accuracy and creative interpretation. The essence of accountability, inherent in the legislation, serves as a backdrop for conflicts and resolutions, inviting audiences to explore themes of restitution and ethical responsibility. Cinematic representations often dramatize the repercussions of harm, invoking the spirit of Lex Aquilia in the narratives of revenge or justice. Such portrayals can lead to a romanticized view of ancient legal systems, overshadowing the rigorous societal structures that governed Roman life. The infusion of Lex Aquilia into contemporary discussions allows for an exploration of its relevance as modern societies continue to confront issues of liability and moral obligation. This enduring connection suggests that the principles of accountability remain crucial in shaping human interactions, transcending time and culture. The influence of Lex Aquilia extends into contemporary legal frameworks, providing foundational principles that resonate within modern tort law. Originating in ancient Rome, it established guidelines for compensating losses due to wrongful acts, particularly relating to property damage. This early codification reflects an inherent recognition of the need for accountability, a principle that persists in today's legal systems. The core tenets of Lex Aquilia can be identified in contemporary discussions surrounding negligence and liability. It introduced the notion that individuals or entities must be held responsible for harm caused, thereby laying the groundwork for modern concepts of duty of care and fault. This historical precedent underscores the evolution of legal thought, demonstrating how ancient practices continue to inform current interpretations of justice. Examining jurisdictional variations, elements of Lex Aquilia can be traced through different legal traditions, illustrating its adaptability. Courts around the world reference its underlying principles, reinforcing the idea that responsibility for harm is a universal tenet of law. As tort law evolves, the legacy of Lex Aquilia remains salient. Its emphasis on reparation for losses not only fosters a sense of social responsibility, but also reflects an enduring commitment to fairness. The historical significance of this legislation continues to shape legal discourse, forming a bridge between past and present understandings of accountability. Lex Aquilia introduced essential frameworks that began to shape the notion of legal personhood in ancient Rome. Through its provisions, it offered a method for individuals to seek restitution for damages inflicted upon their property, establishing a precedent for recognizing the rights and responsibilities of both individuals and entities. This shift marked a critical evolution, as it laid the groundwork for the conception of non-human entities possessing legal standing, a principle that reverberates through contemporary legal systems. In this context, the legislation provided a clear delineation between various types of damages, emphasizing the importance of intent and negligence. The fundamental ideas of care and responsibility became embedded in societal norms, influencing the way legal systems approached accountability. It recognized not only the physical loss but also the moral implications of actions taken by individuals, thus expanding the scope of legal redress. The implications of this framework extended beyond mere financial compensation, as it prompted deeper philosophical inquiries into the nature of personhood. The distinction between property and personhood began to blur, leading to complex discussions on the rights of various entities, including corporations. This evolution reflects a gradual, intricate process through which society began to articulate and formalize its understanding of responsibility, accountability, and the rights inherent within the concept of legal personhood. Public perception significantly influenced the efficacy of Lex Aquilia, as societal attitudes shaped the implementation and enforcement of these ancient legal principles. The prevailing beliefs regarding justice and accountability played a crucial role in determining how individuals and communities responded to violations of property rights. Acceptance of legal frameworks often hinged on an understanding of fairness and equity, guiding the populace's willingness to engage with the legal system. In this context, the perception of harm and loss became pivotal, as individuals recognized the importance of protecting their property. The legal mechanisms provided by Lex Aquilia gained traction. This heightened awareness cultivated a collective recognition of the necessity for accountability, encouraging the populace to seek redress for grievances. The presence of public opinion also acted as a deterrent for potential offenders, Individuals were less likely to commit acts of damage if they understood that their actions would not only be subject to legal repercussions, but would also be scrutinized by their peers. The intertwining of social norms and legal frameworks underscored the importance of maintaining societal order, as the fear of ostracization could be as potent as any legal penalty. Consequently, the efficacy of Lex Aquilia rested not only on its codification but also on the societal embrace of the principles it embodied, fostering a culture of respect for individual rights and communal accountability. The principles enshrined within Lex Aquilia continue to resonate within contemporary legal discourse, shaping modern understandings of liability and restitution. This ancient framework laid the groundwork for many legal systems, influencing how ownership and damage are perceived today. Its emphasis on compensating for harm catalyzed the evolution of tort law, establishing a foundation for accountability that persists in various jurisdictions. Discussions surrounding negligence and property rights echo the sentiments expressed in this early legal text, illustrating how historical perspectives inform present-day practices. The notion that wrongful acts result in a duty to compensate remains a cornerstone of legal thought. Jurisdictions across the globe adopt similar approaches, reflecting the enduring legacy of these ancient principles. The continuing relevance of Lex Aquilia is evident in debates over corporate responsibility and environmental damage, as societies grapple with the implications of modern technology and industrial practices. The core tenets of accountability emphasize the need for ethical conduct and restitution. Legal scholars often cite this ancient statute when examining contemporary challenges, reinforcing its role as a touchstone in the pursuit of justice. As legal frameworks evolve, the echoes of Lex Aquilia remind practitioners and theorists alike that the quest for accountability is both a historical and ongoing endeavor, shaped by the complexities of human interaction and social responsibility. The legacy of Lex Aquilia extends far beyond its ancient origins, influencing contemporary discussions surrounding accountability and loss. This legal framework laid the groundwork for understanding restitution in cases of damage, establishing a precedent that resonates through time. Its principles can be seen reflected in modern legal systems, where the concept of liability continues to guide societal interactions and expectations. In this context, Lex Aquilia serves as a historical reference point, a reminder of the necessity for structured responses to wrongs. The emphasis on compensation highlights a fundamental aspect of justice, the acknowledgement of harm and the imperative to restore balance. This notion echoes in various fields, from law to ethics, shaping how communities and individuals reconcile with loss. The principles enshrined within Lex Aquilia prompt reflection on the responsibilities incumbent upon individuals and institutions. Accountability is not merely a legal obligation, it is a moral one that fosters trust and social cohesion. As societies navigate the complexities of modern existence, the lessons from this ancient legislation become increasingly pertinent. These threads of accountability interweave through the fabric of human experience, reinforcing the idea that understanding loss is crucial to fostering a more just and equitable world. The journey initiated by Lex Aquilia continues, guiding future generations in their pursuit of accountability.